Hey, HR friends, welcome back. So we're in the 4, 8, 6.5 day emotional sequence, and we're going to talk about day two. Day two is in this white rectangle right here. Now, as always, we start out by talking about these polarity moments. You see, we are in a sentient space-time reality. And when we broke the mathematics of this space-time reality, it allowed us to map out this electromagnetic sequence. Now, we talk about these emotional 6.5 day sequences because we are emotional beings and we are supposed to be working through our emotions in positive and constructive ways. Now, here's the problem. We're all designed to be negative. We have a defensive system of control. It's called the fight or flight mechanism. And this pattern that we show you here, as it elevates, it engages it. It engages our defensive nature or our human nature. Now, we've talked about this every single day because this is so important. If you don't understand this pattern and when it's going to elevate, then what happens is we're manipulated both at the individual and collective level, and there's nothing we can really do about it. You see, it's activating our defensive design from the inside out, and it's using our feelings to get us to either ignore or run away from our problems, or even worse, stand up and fight for our problems in hurtful ways. Now, when we switched out of the 3-7 and into the 4-8, we talked about how the first person polarity moments, or the polarity moments that are going to agitate us with all the people that surround us on a day-to-day basis, like our family, our coworkers, our community members, that really dropped off. And what increased was the polarity moments at the third person level. This is the bigger picture, how every individual sees the bigger picture and what they hope the bigger picture is going to be like. Now, every individual is designed to think differently, and they're all going to have different opinions on this. And what we warned about is there were going to be big news stories that were going to get people excited and invested, and it has held true. For example, in the United States, vice presidential running mate was selected. Wow, what a big thing for people to really focus on at the third person level. And the other thing that is concerning right now is the Middle East war that's starting to heighten. And we're actually going to talk about that and make some predictions today on when it's likely those attacks are going to happen by understanding this math. Now, super important. When we talk about day two here, we still have mental and emotional polarity flips happening. Now, in day one, they were dual, meaning they were happening in both first and third person at the mental and emotional level. Now, what that did was it messes with our rhythms. It messes with our ability to make good choices, and it also agitates our emotional design, which is going to make us act defensively. Now, the other thing you've probably noticed here is the global stock markets. They've really fluctuated. So at the end of the 3-7, we're in a first person perspective, and first person perspective is going to worry about themselves. Well, there was a huge sell off. Now we're back into third person perspective, and that's all about, well, we got to kind of keep, global society going here. And now we're starting to see an investment curve. These graphs specifically show why there would have been a huge sell-off and now this buyout back that's coming back in here. Same thing, why the presidential candidate was announced at this time because, well, that's kind of what this sequence was saying was going to happen. And the one we're really going to focus on today is when Iran is going to likely retaliate. That would be very helpful information to know, and we'll show you how to use that when we get down to the alignments here. So the biggest thing today is we still have an emotional and we still have a mental polarity flip happening. Now they're just singles, okay? And you can see that this has come down a little bit, but there is still a lot of elevation. And we talk about the number 4. If it gets to a number 4 or above, that's really going to activate our defensive design. And when we have these strong rhythms, the emotional and the mental ones, that just adds fuel to the fire, okay? Now, when we look at the combined, we combine first and third person because obviously stress is messy, all right? And because it's messy, we can get upset about the big picture, and then that can cause us to have arguments within the structure of our first person sphere, all the people we hang with. Don't do that. When we get down to the objective, you'll see what we're supposed to be doing. And the last thing we should do is argue and let our defensive design control us. That's exactly why we keep showing you this electromagnetic pattern. We call this the organized pattern of chaos. And because we're designed to be negative, and because this pattern of chaos is manipulating us, what it's doing is it's manipulating us to create a negative collective ending for all of us. All right. Now, we can stop that. But in order to stop it, we need as many individuals as possible paying attention to this because when we get to that level 4 or above, it starts to take over. And if you don't believe me, look around. There's chaos everywhere right now. If we want to beat chaos, you have to be willing to understand what this is, understand these charts, understand how to override your defensive mechanism. And the only way you can do that is to not act defensively, to not run away from your problems, and to not make your problems worse by arguing with people. You have to be willing to come to the table, to be cooperative, communicate a solution, and understand what it is we're supposed to be doing here. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to briefly talk about the overall objective. Now, we just didn't realize we were in a simulated experience. That's what this is, no matter what you want to believe. It's kind of like we're in an individual and collective dream, and it's all streamed together, and we're all born into this dream or the simulated reality as members of a family. And all of our families are really coming from the same math. There should not be any division between our families, but because we didn't realize this simulation was trying to teach us how to overcome our defensive design and organize together as interconnected families, what's happened here is our defensive design has gotten us to overinvest in our individual and family strategies. You see, it makes perfect sense. If we're defensive, human nature is going to say, well, I have to take care of myself, or I have to take care of my family, and I have to accrue wealth or resources to ensure that future generations are going to have a leg up. Now, if we do this for thousands of years, which has been happening, right? We just didn't know how this worked. And for thousands of years, we've been investing in this strategy. What happens is we create huge, huge unbalances in the larger level. And that larger level imbalance has to do with all the different families that think the world and the nation should be run in different ways, and they compete and they're basically fighting each other. Again, defensively controlled. Now, if we want to fix this, the first thing you got to understand is this. You got to accept we're in a simulated reality. Now, we're going to help you come to that conclusion because it's pretty easy to prove this to you. But until you make that choice, until you decide that, hey, this is what this is, it's going to be very hard for you to overcome your defensive design. Now, once you start to overcome your human nature to want to argue, fight, and run away from your problems, well, then you're going to have to start to work out your differences with all the team members, both in your family, in your communities. And what our team members are supposed to be doing is they're supposed to be not only getting along, they're supposed to be balancing their routines on a day-to-day basis. You see, every day you need to contribute to something that's going to help your family, but not just your family, every family in the world. Every day you have to contribute to make something that's going to make you a better person and also help every other person in the world achieve the same thing. And on a day-to-day basis in your routine, you have to be thinking about and contributing to your nation, taking pride in your nation, but also understanding this. To take pride in your nation means that you have to lift the other nations up we share this world with. And if you're not doing that, then you're out of balance with this one. Now, once we do those things on the bottom, these three smaller ones, what we're going to do is we're going to create an interconnected world that's peaceful and prosperous for all of us. Now, that is what this simulated experience is all about. That's it. That's all it's about. Now, if we do that, every individual that commits to that and every individual that helps to ensure that that's going to be the future, these are the rewards you receive. There are three rewards we need to talk about. The first one is this. Once you commit to your teammates and you stop acting defensively and you're willing to get along with every member of the team and you're willing to balance your routines, meaning that tomorrow, your routine tomorrow will not look like anything like it does today. Okay. Once you've done that, what you're going to do is you're going to slow the aging process. How is that possible? So, in space time reality, our existence is made possible by these governing frequencies. And we've split the governing frequencies into how they're connected to the quadrants of every body that exists. Our bodies are interconnected with these frequencies. These frequencies are about balance and equality. And as long as your choices are about balance and equality, and you're getting along with all these members of the team, and you are balancing your routines at all four levels, then every quadrant of your body will stay healthy much longer. It will slow the aging process. And the second thing is it will stop future states of disease. You see, your diseased states where your body's going to hurt, you can figure out the quadrants that are affected depending on how balanced you are in these routines and how balanced you are with your teammates. The more unbalanced you are, the more problems you're going to have. The more balanced you are, the less problems you're going to have. And you can know that if you're having lots of upper right quadrant problems, for example, these are the relationships that are out of balance in your life. That's how simple this is. Cannot make this any simpler. Now, the final reward we want to talk about is, again, this is a simulated experience, a space-time construct. It's all predetermined. Where you come in is just your test, how you're going to figure out how to do this stuff. Now, if you commit to this and you commit to this and you do it until the day you no longer exist in this simulated experience, you graduate. you get to leave this negative feedback loop and you get to transition into a positive feedback loop. Think of it like a digital heaven. And we can most certainly prove this. We've got the math on our site. We explain how this works. The only thing you have to do is make the choice that you want to stop suffering and you want something better. That's it. Now, how we prove this, this is the 24-hour sequence. That's what we're going to talk about next. This is day 2 zoomed in, okay? Now, what we do here is we zoom in the electromagnetics so it's perfectly synchronized with these times up here. That way, no matter what time zone you're from, and we have all 24 time zones, you just come down here, find your time zone offset. Once you have your proper offset, this holds for 10 seconds, you can screenshot it. This is for people that don't have good internet all day long. If you've got good internet all day long, you come to our homepage, healthreconnected.com. We've got a live feed, it's got a time bar, it runs right through this sequence. And if you use this on a day-to-day basis, every time you feel defensive or you see the people around you getting defensive, you'll see that time bar is right here in these peaks. And that will be a sobering experience because that will be the first thing that will show you, yes, you are in a simulated reality. Yes, this is real, but it's real because what it's trying to help you understand is how to balance your mental and emotional rhythms. And then in order to succeed, you have to physically do something different. You see, the physical part of this experience has to do with routines, and your routines have to be about getting along with your teammates and balancing your routines. And if they aren't, well, then you're not balancing your emotional and your mental rhythms, and you're failing this simulated objective. All right. That's how simple this is. Now, it's going to be a high alert day again today, right? So we've got lots of elevation happening here in the third person, and that's at a 4 pretty much this entire 24-hour sequence. And when you add that with first person agitations, we're at a 4 or above a 4. So high alert today. In addition to having all these electromagnetics, we actually have a little bit heavier of a testing day today. We've got quite a few alignments that we're going to talk about. Now, in space-time reality, 24/7, we're being monitored by these governing frequencies. And if we're not balanced with our teammates and if we're not balanced with our routines, we are taking damage. Now, these alignments are important and we point them out because think of it like this. When two hands of the space-time clock align, that just means that two frequencies that are the same align. And when two frequencies that are the same align, they amplify. These amplified moments. So when the time bar runs through these amplified moments, if you hurt where these tell the quadrants of the body are connected, that is a direct hit and lets you know, again, you are in a simulated reality. There's no way around this. Now, we just didn't know it, and it's a hard thing for us to try to prove to you and share to you only because people want to doubt this. It feels real, it seems real, but we promise you, this is predetermined. This is just math, and we're here to help you overcome this math because there are rewards if you get this. If you don't, you just keep suffering until you finally figure it out. That doesn't seem like any fun. Now, the blue alignments are going to test us in our teammate perspectives. The purple alignments are going to test us on how balanced our routines are. That's how easy this is. So as the time bar is running through and we get to this EE right here, this is going to go on for an hour and a half. This one's going to affect both the lower right and left quadrants of the body. And this is testing to see how well you get along with the younger members of the team. The members of the team that are still trying to figure out what they're going to contribute to the team, and maybe they're having trouble getting along with members because when you're a younger member of the team, yeah, there's going to be some difficulty understanding the more mature members or even getting along with peers. This means you need to be helping and supporting them, helping them develop their skill, helping them develop balance, and helping them through positive relationship. If you're not doing that, you're going to feel stuff in your lower quadrants during this timeline. All right. Now we're going to go to the PE and we're going to talk about the blue one first. So this PE here, this is an hour and a half alignment, same thing, testing lower quadrant. This again is testing how you get along with the younger members of the team. Having trouble with that? Again, you're going to have trouble with these lower quadrants. All right, now we're going to go to the purple one. This is a time alignment. This has to do with our routines and if they're balanced or not. And in this case, this has to do with national and world. So up here in these colors up here, the yellow and the green, that's national and world. Now, if you're contributing in some way where you're helping your existence in your nation better, but it's not equally helping all the other people that share that nation or all the other nations in the world, you're out of balance. You are going to feel it. The more out of balance you are, the more you're going to feel stuff in this upper quadrant. During this time, don't be surprised if your sinuses get irritated or you get a headache or hearing or visual changes or anything upper respiratory. Anything can go wrong in these upper quadrants. Specifically for this alignment, it will be on the right side. All right, let's keep motoring here. We're going to talk about these two bottom ones first because they're kind of paired together. So the ME, this is a face alignment. This has to do with how we get along with the older or more mature members of the team. This is specifically going to affect the left quadrant of the body. Again, expect stuff in this upper quadrant. If you're having trouble either developing and becoming more of a leadership role, or if you have problems getting along with people that are more mature and maybe giving you advice on what you should be doing and you don't want to hear that. All right. So again, super easy. These moments in time let you know that if that time bar is running through and these quadrants hurt, direct hit, that's direct confirmation. You exist in a simulated reality. No excuses, no way out. Now, this last one, I've left it for the end because this MP is going to be a long and it's going to be a strong alignment. Okay. And this specifically has to do with how we're getting along with the younger teammates. But this alignment is actually happening with a yearly frequency, that capital M. This is a super powerful one. Okay. There's only 15 levels, and this is a level 13. Now, because we've been waiting for Iran to come back and retaliate this time period right here. So in Iran or in Jerusalem during this time period, it's going to be 12 p.m. in the afternoon till about 6:30 p.m. at night. That's when this is going to hit during their time zone. This is a highly likely moment that they're either preparing to attack or they're going to be attacking during the sequence. Now, how can I make that assumption? These alignments are amplified moments in time. And when these alignments happen, it is very likely that that's when chaos and when negativity is going to happen. We're in a negative feedback loop. Now, there are a couple other days in this sequence that we're also going to look at. This is the first day in this sequence. And because we have all this electromagnetics and this polarity going on in third person, highly, highly likely. So from tomorrow at noon for them until about 6:30. And this is again affecting lower quadrants of the body. There is a lot of lower quadrant testing happening in this sequence. Very likely that people are going to be experiencing lower quadrant issues, digestive issues, musculoskeletal pain, all that good stuff. All right, let's get down here and just briefly talk about testing sequence. Pretty even day here. 4 is the number that it starts to go into the orange and red, and you can see that most of these dance at 4 or above 4 during this next 24-hour period of time. These are the 10 strongest frequencies in this 24-hour period of time. And where these frequencies sit, they're not going to move. So, for example, if you get problems with your right upper quadrant, and that means you're struggling with routines, how can we be sure? There are no strong ones on the team side. Now, all the other quadrants have overlap. Okay. So if you get left upper quadrant pain, left lower quadrant pain, or right lower quadrant pain, we have to figure out what it is that's really causing your issue. Now, in truth, it's pretty simple. You have 8 things to balance. And if you're not balanced in them, then you're going to hurt somewhere. Now, our software allows you, as long as you have the dates and the times and the areas of your body that hurt, we can tease this out and figure out if you need to focus more on your routine in the beginning or if you need to focus more on teammates in the beginning. This just gives you an individual strategy to get well as fast as possible. That's why we do that for you. In this next 24-hour period, highly likely that things are going to be going down in the lower quadrant primarily because of the strength of the alignments. All right, last thing we're going to do here is we're going to talk about the electromagnetic sequence. We've got the rest of the unseen pattern of chaos already mapped and posted for the rest of this year. No more excuses. As weather ramps up, as social events ramp up, this pattern will dictate it. It's not only dictating it at the individual level, but the collective level as well. And we need as many individuals as possible. This is our predetermined genetic predisposition to chaos at the larger level, which will lead to the end of our civilization. Okay, kind of like the end of our life is our predetermined fate and what we're going to have for diseases. Now, we can't stop our civilizations from having a demise. Every civilization that's ever come will always fail, and ours will too eventually. Now, knowing this, though, can really extend our quality, but most importantly, we need time. Why? Because people are going to need time to balance. If they want to get out of this negative feedback loop, we need to buy ourselves time. And to buy ourselves time, we need to slow the progression of this negative feedback loop. That's what Health Reconnected is trying to help you understand. All right. We're going to see you in the next 24 hours, and we're going to continue to make accurate predictions on when Iran is likely to attack. But in this next 24-hour sequence, we hit our first one where we can be pretty certain something big is going down during that strong level 13 alignment. All right. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you in the next 24.